the knee. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Don Willie back again with another theory video. Haven't done one of these in a little while. And, as always, tinfoil because I don't actually have anything to base this on. But I will say I may not be the first person to come up with this theory, so I'm not going to take 100% credit for it. But I did come to this conclusion on my own, right? So, let's get into it. How are the children of the forest and the White Walkers, also known as the Others, related? So, in order to understand the possible connection, we have to go back to the Long Night. Now, the Long Night took place about 8,000 years before our current story and involved the White Walkers, the Children of the Forest, and the First Men. Now, if you have read The World of Ice and Fire, you know that there are other instances of similar events, and this is where we get the legend of Azor Ahai, but that's a different topic for another video. What we're going to talk about from the Long Night is the last hero. So the last hero, if it's to be believed, I guess the way that the story kind of plays out, he would have wound up being possibly the first Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Many people think that the Night's Watch was started after the wall was built, but actually the last hero and his 12 companions were the original Night's Watch. Now, I've said before in another video that I think that their vows changed over time, but again, that's another video. I will leave a link in the description of cards or whatever may have you. So let's get back to the meat of the story. So, the last hero was said to have looked for the children of the forest for years because, the children of the forest and the First Men had been warring for a long time. And while, while the children of the forest were kind of hibernating or something like that, the White Walkers show up, the Long Night begins, and so you have a lot of the First Men being killed, and we don't know if they were being turned into whites. It doesn't necessarily say anything about that, in his whole story, but we do know that he had 12 companions, all 12 of them died. He searched out the children of the forest for years, and then finally he was able to contact them. They helped him defeat the White Walkers and drive them to the lands of Always Winter. After that, we get a more permanent version of the Night's Watch, and we get the construction of the wall and the Age of Heroes, etc., etc. Now, sorry about that. Pardon me while I take a sip of my Arbor Gold. So, my theory, and again, I'm probably not the first person to come up with this, but I came to this conclusion on my own. So anybody who says, "Oh, he read it," no. I haven't seen any videos on this, and I also, I'm not a Reddit user, so if it's on Reddit, and somebody else had it, sorry. Anyway, so my theory is that the children of the forest actually were kidnapping First Men. They kidnapped a group of First Men, turned them into the original White Walkers. and basically tried to use them as like a thralls or slaves to get rid of the first men and be almost like a virus to a certain extent. At some point, they were able to break free of the control of the children, but due to them already being brainwashed, they were still killing first men because now, they're all screwed in the head, so they hate human beings, the things that they used to be, but they also hate the children of the forest, right? So that's why the children went into hiding because they already knew they could keep the White Walkers at bay. Now think about it, right? So after the establishment of the permanent Night's Watch, the children of the forest say, "Look, we're gonna give you 100 dragon glass daggers every year." Right? So you gotta ask the question: how did the children of the forest know that the dragon glass would kill White Walkers? Right? You know, we don't know of any prior dealings that they have with the White Walkers before the Long Night. We don't know anything about White Walkers before the Long Night. We hear about the wars with the children and giants, and then the wars with children and the first men. Never any mention of White Walkers before this. So, why only 100? Well, because before you had the wildlings, before there was a Craster who was giving up their babies to the White Walkers, because I'm pretty sure Craster wasn't the only one. There have been other people, we just don't know their names. So you have the children who were kind of like, all right, look, we made these powerful beings, and at some point, not only did they figure out how to make whites or resurrect people from the dead, they figured out that they could turn living human beings into White Walkers as well. So they're going around, they're turning people into White Walkers, but they're thinking, okay, well, since there aren't too many of the first men north of the wall, 100 dragon glass daggers and some arrows and whatever should be able to finish this problem off pretty quickly. Especially since we drove them back to the lands of always winter. Thing about it is, though, after you drove them back to the lands of always winter, people started to forget about them. So you'd have people who might get kidnapped. You might have whole villages that get kidnapped. Like, we still don't know what happened with the tragedy at Hardhome. You know, you have Night's Watch who buried Dragonglass at the Fist of the First Men. They buried it there for a reason. And so, the question remains, why only 100 daggers? Could it be that the children were looking for a way to possibly bring the White Walkers back under their control? It's like, all right, we don't want to give the First Men, an abundance of weapons because then that defeats the whole purpose. We just want to give them just enough, pick off a few here and there, make them think that they got this. But once we're able to get control of the White Walkers again, we cut off the supply of Dragon Glass, and then after that, we, go and exterminate the rest of them. And I think that's, part of the Children of the Forest ultimate plan is to try to get rid of humans. They wanted to use the White Walkers to do it, but the White Walkers, their own creations, just became too powerful for them, and now they're kind of stuck in a bind. So I personally think they're using Bran and Bloodraven and any other Green Seer who has ever been around to try to further their agenda of uh, eliminating humans from Westeros at least. And so that brings me to what may be the most tinfoil of all, and that is Benjen Stark. So we have not seen Benjen Stark since he went ranging north of the wall, right? So it's been highly speculated that either he's dead, he's, you know, possibly with some other wildlings. Uh, it was speculated at one point he was cold hands, even though that is proven to be false. A number of things speculated about him. Now, if you have watched all the way through season 5 for the TV show Game of Thrones, um, then you know that episode 8 was the episode known as Hard Home, where we got to see the TV show version of the Night's King, or the Night King as he's called. Now, this is not the same man from the books that lived during the Age of Heroes, but there were many people who speculated that Benjen might have been Night's King, even though it's not the same dude, doesn't look the same or whatever. But that did kind of lead me to a theory that Benjen, when we next meet him, he will be a White Walker. Uh, and White Walkers are painted as kind of almost the ultimate evil to a certain extent. But again, I believe they were first men who were kidnapped and brainwashed and turned into White Walkers. And I think Benjen might, him being a Stark, I think that some of his ancestors were probably White Walkers. We don't know anything about Bran the Builder's father, and some people have speculated that Bran the Builder may have been the Night's King who, married a White Walker, the only White Walker female that we've ever even heard of. So, I mean, it's interesting to think about. But yeah, I think the next time that we see Benjen Stark, he will actually be a White Walker. I think he's gonna wind up meeting with Jon. Um, and like there's been a speculation that at the end of it, it's not gonna be like some super great battle, war for the dawn. That it's gonna wind up being some sort of peace accord at the end. Like there's going to be fighting, but it's not going to end with a fight. It's going to end with some type of treaty. And I think Benjen will be a part of that. I highly doubt that he disappeared and we're just gonna find his body somewhere with like a note in it or something, like a note in his hand, like, oh yeah, Jon or Lord Commander Mormont, uh, please send more Rangers out here to help. Nah, man. He traveled north. He didn't get killed by the White Walkers because he is a Stark. Somehow they knew he was a Stark, and he's one of them now. So, yeah. You guys let me know what you think about this one. It's Thanksgiving. I'm out to finish some of this Arbor Gold. Smoke some more of these Dragon Tears. And, celebrate with the family. Anyway, thank you guys as always. And you already know the deal. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, come back for more. And if you were watching this, pretty early, um, make sure to check out my interview with Ilio Garcia and Linda Antonsen of Westeros.org because it will only be up until Saturday midnight. And then after that, it's gone. So if you happen to watch this Sunday afternoon or Monday, sorry you didn't already miss the window. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring it back later. But that's been my time. Don Willie.